Again. All right, friends. So Janai is here, Maya, Imad. Hello, everybody. We are here on Thursday, April 30th, the last day of April. That's crazy. So I'm going to share my screen so you can see what we're going to work on today. Okay.
Perfect.
All right. Let's see. Okay. So today we're going to continue constructing sentences for our informational writing, okay? So the two targets that we're going to work on today, and we'll go over them a little more in a minute, are I can write a conclusion about how bees pollinate plants, and I can create a scientific drawing of a bee. So those are the two targets that we're going to work on today. Before we move forward, though, I want to talk about what you did yesterday. So if you did your writing yesterday, which I think most of you that are on here did, and if you didn't, that's okay. I'll have you go back and do it later today. But if you did, I want you to kind of think about what you wrote, and maybe some people are willing to share some of the ideas that they included in their writing. So the first detail that you wrote about was answering the first question over here on the right. It says, what is one detail sentence for why bees are attracted to plants? So why are bees attracted to plants? If you have an answer, you remember what you wrote, or you remember what we learned about bees, you can type in the chat or you can raise your hand. Either way is fine. So why are bees attracted to plants is your question. I see people are typing, and that's perfect.
Good job, guys.
Yes. If your screen is not on mute, go ahead and put it on mute.
Type anything.
You can't type anything? You can raise your hand, Maya, and share out loud. Do you have something to share?
Tell them your situation. I'm an incoming freshman. I would like to meet to find out what is my plan.
Maya, do you want to share?
Because they want the nectar.
Right, they want the nectar, and B just said the same thing in the chat. They want the nectar.
Wonderful job, guys. Yeah, bees are attracted to plants because they're hungry. They're thirsty. They want that sweet nectar.
They know that when they see those bright colored flowers that they're going to have sweet nectar inside. Those two things, the color and the sweet nectar, really usually go together. All right, the second question that you answered is, what is one detailed sentence for how a bee's body makes pollination happen? So again, you can type in the chat or you can raise your hand. How does a bee's body help them pollinate flowers? What part of their body does the pollen get on? What do they use to get the pollen out?
Legs. The legs.
The legs. Good job, Renee.
Yeah, it gets on their legs. Where else?
Pollen. What else? There are other ways too. I'm looking for hands, but I can't see everybody, so I'm... Oh, Jamie.
The pollen gets on them because their furry body.
Their furry body. Great job, Jamie. You're absolutely right. And then Imad wrote, bees are attracted to plants because of the smell and the color and the shape and the sweetness. Yeah, good job, Imad. That's a great list. And the last question you answered yesterday is, how do bees move pollen to new places? So what's that last step of the pollination process that they do to pollinate a new plant? Again, you can raise your hand or you can type it into the chat. I'm doing my best to see everybody's face. So what do they do last? So they land on a flower, they pick up the pollen with their legs and their head and their pollen sac, and then what do they do?
I see a lot of friends typing, so let's
Okay,
give a second.
A thinking minute and a typing minute.
Not muted.
This is a good time to remind you that you can go on to Typing Club and practice your typing skills if you need to. All right, while you guys finish typing, I'm going to share what I would say. I would say something like, bees fly to another flower where the pollen falls off of their body to pollinate the new plant. Would you
I
say
agree.
similar, Ms. Dishalay?
That's exactly what we learned in Maya. Thank you for agreeing. Yeah, that's exactly what happens, friends. The bee's body is caked in that pollen, and when he flies to a new flower for the nectar, some of that pollen falls off.
Yeah, exactly. Brandon agrees too. Good. I'm so glad you agree. Okay, so I'm going to move on to read the learning target. Do you want to read it, Ms. Dishalay?
Sure. The learning target is, I can write a conclusion about how bees pollinate plants. So friends, you wrote your introduction, you wrote your focus statement, you wrote your detailed sentences. Now we're at the end and you're going to write the conclusion. So what part of the bee writing booklet will you be writing today?
The
conclusion.
Good job.
Wonderful. Yes, the conclusion.
So I want to show you the model that we wrote, and then I want to show you a video about why bees are so important so that you have some ideas to help you along in case you get a little stumped on what to write for your conclusion. So here is our conclusion. I circled it in yellow, as you can see. I'll read it to you. It says, when the new flower is pollinated, a new seed can grow. Hummingbirds are important pollinators that help new plants grow. So just to remind you, we wrote about hummingbirds in our model, but you are writing about which pollinator?
Bees.
Bees, good. So in the conclusion, we stated that pollination makes new plants grow, and that is why it's so important. And then we said that hummingbirds are one of those important pollinators that help that process. So your job is going to be to explain that bees are an important part of that pollination process. Okay? I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a minute, and I'm going to reshare this short video for you to watch, okay? All right, can we all see this video? Show me a thumbs up if you can see the video on your screen. It shows tomatoes. Oh, the pollen master is here. So glad. Okay, here we go.
Hi, I'm Earth Ranger Giovanna, and I'm here at the fantastic hot house to talk to you about bumblebees. Now you're probably wondering, what do bees and tomatoes have in common? Well, bumblebees actually play a very important role in the production of tomatoes. Here to tell me more is Dr. Purdy, who's been studying bees for over a decade.
Thanks, Giovanna. You're right. Bumblebees do have a very special role when it comes to producing tomatoes. Their role is to pollinate the flowers on the tomato plants. See, pollination happens when a brightly colored powder is moved from one part of the flower to another. The pollen is produced in the male part of the flower, which is called the anther, and it's moved to the female part of the flower, which is called the stigma. It takes
That anther part, friends, is also the stamen that we learned about yesterday.
one tiny grain of pollen to make each seed in the fruit or vegetable. For some plants, like grain and corn, the pollen is carried by the wind. But for many plants, like fruit and vegetables, bumblebees are responsible for the pollination.
That's very interesting. So can you tell me some of the other foods that bumblebees pollinate?
Yes, bumblebees are important for pollination of raspberries, blackberries, blueberries, almonds, watermelon, pumpkins, and many others, just to name a
Friends,
few.
we already learned all about this.
Look at all those foods that you probably eat all the time. I know I eat a lot of those foods all the time, and without the bees,
Watermelon.
Also help to pollinate other crops like clover when it's grown for seed, or canola grown for cooking oil.
So does that mean without pollination, we'd have trouble growing enough food?
That's right, Giovanna. We'd have grain and corn, but we depend on bumblebees for pollination of many fruits and vegetables. Remember that I said that one tiny grain of pollen is required for each seed in a fruit or vegetable. That means that if a flower doesn't get pollen or doesn't get enough pollen, there'd be less crop to harvest and the fruit would be smaller. We depend on pollination by bumblebees for much of our food supply. Wild plants and the wild animals that feed on them depend on bumblebees for pollination too. The problem is some bees have been disappearing and all bees are under stress.
Do we know what's causing this?
Yes, recent research tells us that there are many factors. New bee diseases coming into our area, competition for food and nesting areas, loss and fragmentation of habitat. Pollution, pesticides, and climate change are also thought to be threats.
So, by the sound of it, there are a lot of things that are making it harder for bees to survive, which is why we need to do more research to get to the bottom of this extremely important issue.
That's right, Giovanna. We do need to know a lot more about bumblebees.
This is why it's so important for Earth Rangers.
Why
Okay.
you stop it there?
It was just the credits, honey. It's okay.
Oh.
Why are bees so important? Let's raise our hand and share with our voices if you're able. If you can't talk, you can type in the chat. But raise your hand and share. Why are bees so important to our lives? Imad.
These are so important because they make us food to eat.
They make us food to eat. You're absolutely right. Janaya,
Yes, they do.
do you have something to share?
They make us flowers so we can smell.
Yes, they do make beautiful flowers. And people sell those flowers, right? And then you can smell them in your house. So what would our world be like without bees? Without pollinators in general?
Make your face how our world would be. How would our world be using your face?
Yeah.
Disappointed.
Disappointing. Yeah. So something
Mm.
interesting that I saw in that video, and you can show me too if you heard the same thing. He said that we might have some fruits without bees, without pollinators, but they would be really tiny. So like a watermelon would only be this big instead of being a big watermelon. You'd have to
That
buy
wouldn't be good.
watermelons just to get enough of your favorite fruit, right?
Yeah.
Apples or oranges or whatever. So bees are very important for so many reasons, and those are just some of them. So I'm going to show on Google Drive what you're going to work on today, okay?
Strawberries.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay. So here is your bee writing booklet, friends, that you've been working on for the last few days. Again, I say if you have not yet written your introduction and your focus statement and your 3 detail sentences, you need to please go back and do those first. If you need
This
some,
one, I did all 3 of them.
good job, Renee. If you need some assistance on doing these pages, what will you do?
Call you.
Call us. You can go back to those videos. Yes, exactly. I'm going to post all these videos on the same spot so you can watch them again if you need to, okay? So if you haven't done these parts yet, you need to go back and do those first. If you are finished with your detailed sentences, you're going to move on to your conclusion today. So the job
You did the other one.
Friends, will you mute yourselves if you're not already, please? Thank you. The job of the conclusion is to tell why pollination is important and to say your focus statement in a different way. So if your focus statement tells that bees are important so that we can have food, or bees are important to our world, you're going to restate that in another way. Okay? I'm going to model writing a conclusion using a hummingbird example. Misty Schley, do you have an idea of what we should say?
Sure, let's say something like hummingbirds are important to our world, period. Without the hummingbirds, we wouldn't have yummy foods to eat.
Our world would be a sad place without pollinators. So show me a thumbs up if I did these things. Did me and Misty Chalet tell why pollination is important? Thumbs up if we did, thumbs down if we didn't. I don't see many thumbs. Thumbs up. Okay, I see 1, 2, 3, perfect. Brandon says
He
yeah.
wrote in the chat too. He said yes.
Good. And did we say our focus statement in another way? That we need hummingbirds for our world to have what we like to eat? Thumbs up
Yeah.
if you did that. Okay, so you're gonna do something similar, except you're working on talking about the pollinator, bees, instead of hummingbirds, but really it's very similar. Do you wanna add anything, Ms. DeChalais?
No, friends, if you are confused about what you wrote for your focus statement, it should be in your packet. So you can just scroll up to the right page and you can see what you wrote and then rewrite it
Okay.
a little differently.
I'm gonna go back quickly and read you your learning target one more time so you can be reminded of what you're focused on. Your learning target says, I can write a conclusion about how bees pollinate plants. So your job is to go onto your bee booklet and write about bees pollinating plants and why it's important. Okay?
Your next learning target is I can create a scientific drawing of a bee. Friends, we've been working on this all week long, so I really hope that your scientific drawings are high quality. If you don't have crayons or colored pencils, that is okay. You can just do it in pencil. B, yes, I would like you to do it one last time. This is your last time doing your scientific drawing of the bee. So please, everyone should have 4 total by the time we're done with our writing.
So if you don't have a couple already, that's okay. Just start today, please. Pick one of these pictures and draw it as close to the real thing as you can. B, do you mean you did your writing already or you did your drawing? Because she's saying she wants, or we want you to do another draft of your drawing. If you finish your writing, then you don't have to do the writing again. I'm not sure what you're talking about. So pick one of these pictures, guys, if you haven't already. If you did already pick one, you should be using the same picture each day. I feel like I haven't seen many drawings, and that's okay because we haven't been asking to see them, but I hope that you are doing the drawing and that you have something to share with us when we come on live tomorrow, friends. I really can't wait to see what you drew. And
yeah, so friends, tomorrow on live, we want to see your scientific drawings and we'll be able to pull up your finished writing.
Yeah, so if you feel like when you finish the conclusion today, you want to go back and add some pictures, even edit it and revise it a little bit, that would be great too, okay? All right, so remember, your target is to write a conclusion and do a final copy a final copy of your drawing. What'd you say, Brene?
There's a lot of people on the chat.
Yep, we're all there, just like
We're all there. We all use it.
Yep. All right.
Every day.
Know what questions you need answered before we go. You can raise your hand, just like in school. If you don't have any questions, show me a thumbs up. Imad's good to go. Jamie's good to go. I'm assuming Takai's good to go. All right, B, are you all set?
Wow.
Are you typing? It looks like he's typing something. All right, if you feel ready to go get started on your conclusion, you can leave the meeting and you can get started on that. Remember that if you need help from us, call us, text us, email us, write on Google Classroom. We're there. Okay? You don't have anything to say. Got it. All right, so if you're ready to go, go ahead and leave the meeting, friends. We love you.
Have a good day.
Bye.
Wait, I want to say something.
What, baby?
How do you spell bye?
B-Y.
B-Y-E.
Bye.
B